Dear friends, greetings to all of you. Welcome to Book Sen, a channel that shares knowledge on comprehensive self-development through books. Today, Book Sen wants to share with you a topic titled Start a New Year Abundantly with Dan-Sha-Ri from Yamashita Hideko's book. So, what is Dan-Sha-Ri? It is three Japanese words combined, meaning Dan-Sha-Ri, a concept first introduced by Yamashita Hideko in her book of the same name. When this book came out, it became popular throughout Japan and has been translated into many languages worldwide. We can understand the literal meaning of these three words as follows: Dan means to cut off, Sha means to discard, and Ri means to detach. Look back at the past year. We may have lost many things and many people beside us have left us, but the past year also left behind many things we no longer need. We have been holding on to these attachments that we should have let go of long ago. Yet, for some reason, we couldn't let them go, making us feel suffocated. Our living spaces become smaller, and the time we spend on ourselves decreases. We thought we'd be happier owning more, but instead, we become lost and meaningless. This book will show you the reasons why you are anxious, unbalanced, and prone to falling into a state of despair, and it will teach you how to let go of things you need to Dan-Sha-Ri. However, here, Dan-Sha-Ri isn't simply throwing away excess items to live a minimalist and simple life, but it's about cutting off desires, discarding unnecessary things, and detaching from material attachments. Moreover, the reason I want to introduce this book to you is because it contains a valuable concept that resonates with the laws of the universe. There is input because there is output, and there is output because there is input. This is the core of the Dan-Sha-Ri way of life, and it can become a new lifestyle for you in the coming year. It helps you discard unnecessary tangible things and transform the intangible world within you, making you lighter with every step, bringing freshness and more meaning to your life. Why can't you let go? Have you ever experienced this in your life? When shopping season is near, do you have the habit of collecting many discounted items, buying them, and storing them away, thinking you will use them someday, but you rarely touch them? Or when you're staying at a hotel, do you usually take home freebies like tablecloths, toothpaste, or slippers? They're stored in a corner of your house and gathered into a pile of clothes in your closet that's full, but every time you go out, you feel like you have nothing to wear? Or maybe you store boxes, paper bags, thinking you might use them later, but they only make your living space messy. People used to use one pot and one set of chopsticks, but now you have a set of utensils and a dozen knives in your house. You also need different kinds of pots for frying, steaming, pressure cooking, etc. Not to mention, merchants are constantly stimulating consumerism through promotions like 50% discounts or buy two, get one free. This has led to a surplus of material goods in many households. If you've experienced any of the above situations, it's highlighting that you're living in a time of material abundance. The abundance of material goods in consumer society offers you more choices, but it also makes you anxious and depressed. The author of this book, Yamashita, believes that the reason for the widespread prevalence of material excess is that many people have a misconception about their needs and have a materialistic mindset. On the surface, it seems like we can't resist the temptation of merchants' marketing tactics, but in reality, it's because we don't fully understand our needs, so we buy and try things. Next, many people have a materialistic mindset, meaning they depend on material things for a long time and for their livelihood. This doesn't mean they only care about money and do everything for it. Specifically, when deciding to buy an item, they don't consider whether it's truly necessary, they just buy it if it can be used. For example, a wife needs to buy a treadmill. Her husband is confused, asking, "Our house is right next to the park with a beautiful running path. Why do we need to buy a treadmill?" The wife answers, "If it rains someday, it'll be inconvenient to run outside. A treadmill is more convenient in that case." In this situation, we can see that the wife used a materialistic mindset to make a decision about spending. She sees rain as an unusual and infrequent situation, but in her mind, a treadmill will be useful if it rains. To put it simply, I don't need it much, but I have to prepare for it beforehand. Deep down, many people have a fear of insecurity and a fear of lack. This is why they have such a materialistic mindset, believing they must possess as many things as possible, wanting what they don't have and not wanting to let go of what they already have. However, many people don't realize that living with a materialistic mindset will bring many negative consequences. On one hand, people find it hard to discover simple and long-lasting joys from within themselves. Instead, they entrust their happiness and pleasure to spending money and satisfying their desires by possessing material things. Those who are well off will constantly pursue and strive to satisfy their desires. If they have something, they must have something better. Those who are not well off will burden themselves with a lot of pressure. Some people face excessive financial pressure and even accept overtime work or borrow money to satisfy their consumer needs. Both types of people live with different kinds of anxieties and stresses. How can I earn more money? How can I shop without thinking? On the other hand, people who think in a materialistic way often have a habit of measuring the meaning and value of life by material possessions. For example, a successful person must have a luxurious house, drive a luxury car, use designer goods, and eat at famous restaurants. In reality, material possessions can't determine what kind of person someone is. Instead, they only show a person's snobbish and selective nature. Living in a materially abundant environment, people tend to want to accumulate more and don't want to discard things. For example, there is a case in the book about a couple who believes in experiencing and enjoying the material world as much as possible. They see something they like, they buy it without hesitation. Over time, their apartment is filled with clothes and other items. They begin to get annoyed with cleaning, so they decide to move to a larger house in the suburbs for easier movement. When they sorted and packed, they were surprised to find many useless things, enough to fill a truck. Then, the couple realized that no matter how big their house is, they can't satisfy their uncontrollable material desires, so they start learning how to Dan-Sha-Ri. First, they decide to buy a smaller house. There's less space, so they reduce their shopping frequency. They don't have a big TV or gaming console. They start to face each other more deeply and communicate more. They look into each other's eyes more, and their relationship becomes more harmonious. They don't have many kitchen utensils. They try to explore more natural and healthy dishes. The husband, who used to have a big belly, lost more than 10 kilograms in half a year. Without the pressure of objects, their living space suddenly expands, and their mood becomes more peaceful. They often go for walks together in the evening or read books together at home. When they started Dan-Sha-Ri, their quality of life improved significantly. Just like the saying, if life is simplified, a butterfly can find an endless garden, a tree will have beautiful mountains, rivers, and a cloud will float in the vast sky. True happiness perhaps begins with realizing that you need to Dan-Sha-Ri. Dan-Sha-Ri, what it is and why it's so difficult to apply and practice. We need to understand that Dan-Sha-Ri isn't about discarding items to make your house airy, but a true Dan-Sha-Ri must be about cutting off desires, discarding excess items, and detaching from attachments. In other words, Dan means not buying arbitrarily, Sha means discarding what's unnecessary, and Ri means letting go of material attachments. Therefore, you'll see that the deep purpose of this method is not just about tidying up your living space, but through the determination to deal with excess things, you stop just inputting and don't let anything out. This can balance the input and output of different material energies. Material here doesn't just refer to tangible things like wealth, money, and things you can see and touch, but also intangible things like your mindset, thinking, and desires. Only then can you truly practice, grow, and escape from attachments. It sounds easy, but it's actually very difficult to do. Why is that? Because most of us are one of three types of people. The first type, those who run away. These people are usually very busy or spend little time at home, and they don't want to touch house cleaning. They easily think, cleaning takes too much time. If I had enough time, I'd clean it all up. But when they have free time, they tend to rest or play. Over time, their house becomes messy and cluttered. Many things aren't sorted or categorized, making it hard to find things, and they often spend a lot of time looking for things or never use them. The second type, those who cherish the past. They collect, store, and preserve many artifacts from the past, such as trophies, awards, souvenirs, etc. Deep down, they think these items are important witnesses to their lives. Discarding them would mean disrespecting and denying the past. For example, the father in Reply 1988 is a typical character. He carefully stores and packs old, broken items from the past, filling his entire closet. His wife feels uncomfortable because of the cramped space and throws his old stuff away. The author of this book doesn't oppose keeping artifacts, but some things stored away take up living space and even mental space, so we need to reflect on them. The third type, those who worry about the future. They always prepare and store items for the days to come. They usually think, what if I don't buy it now and need it later? This is the most common type of person among the three. The author says that all three types have one thing in common, a relatively weak awareness of time. Those who run away think cleaning will take time. So what are they running away from? They are actually running away from the present moment. In fact, if things are organized from the beginning, cleaning only takes a few minutes. Those who cherish the past often prioritize the past over the present. Those who worry about the future have the opposite tendency. Therefore, both are not actually living in the present. Whether it's the past or the future, they find it hard to let go of unnecessary things, making the mental space for living in the present moment suffocating, leading to anxiety, and making them crave more. Now you realize, don't you? You can pick it up, but you can't put it down. In fact, you've lost your true self in the present. Through the Dan-Sha-Ri method, the author not only teaches you how to organize and tidy your house, but more importantly, how to form a philosophy of life and change your attitude towards material possessions. Ultimately, Dan-Sha-Ri is a way for us to escape the games of the mind, escape the endless desires of our little ego. You will realize that the highest state of Dan-Sha-Ri is not questioning the past, not fearing the future, and living in the present. There's a good quote in the book, no matter how expensive or rare something is, only those who can evaluate it according to their needs can make a choice and have a strong heart. Only when you let go of some of your attachments can you become more confident. Letting go of unnecessary things and letting go of all attachments is actually a way to give your soul freedom. If this philosophy of life gives you a new inspiration or at least helps you reflect on your current living situation, then the next important part is to practice Dan-Sha-Ri. How to Dan-Sha-Ri, less is more. The first step is to be aware of your current situation. This is important because it's not just about seeing the items in front of your eyes, but also seeing the things hidden from your sight. Open all the boxes, storage areas, and closets in your house. Even if they are messy and dusty, don't let your procrastination and laziness win. You need to know that only when you understand how many things you have can you start to officially purify your life. The second thing we need is to imagine the layout of our living space. Many people start cleaning when they see their house is too messy. But cleaning without purpose is useless. Cleaning isn't about making the outside look clean and tidy. It's also not about stuffing things into a closet and closing the door. It's not about seeing that many things are still useful and valuable, so you temporarily store them away. Instead, you need to use your imagination, picture, and think about what kind of living space you want. For example, do you want a living room to have a certain amount of open space to play with your children, or a spacious place in your house that's suitable for you to exercise or meditate? After preparing these steps, we can officially take action. So, what do we need when we act on Dan-Sha-Ri? First, we start with Dan-Sha-Ri of our belongings. meaning we start by discarding unnecessary things. First, lay out all your miscellaneous items. Many people always start cleaning with the messy parts, like long unused clothes. But according to the author, those kinds of things have been stored for a long time. Cleaning them takes both time and energy. Many people will feel uncomfortable facing them from the beginning, and they will eventually get discouraged or waste their efforts without effectiveness. Instead, start with small items first. After placing the miscellaneous items in front of you, start deciding what to keep and what to discard. The criteria here are relatively simple. First, discard waste and trash. This includes expired canned goods, cardboard boxes, paper bags, and things you have no impression of, even if they might be useful later. If a person doesn't even remember the existence of an item and only remembers it when looking for it, it means it's not important and doesn't need to be kept. Second, discard things that have a certain connection to you but you rarely use. For example, a few years ago, you received some books from friends as birthday gifts, but those books haven't been touched much. So you store them on the bookshelf. For these items with a certain value, if you don't use them frequently, try to give them to someone else or sell them. Some people might think that selling gifts is a way of blaming themselves for not valuing the giver, but think about it from a different perspective. An item only fully realizes its value when it is used and becomes useful. Instead of letting it gather dust, let it be useful in the hands of someone who really needs it. Third, keep items you use often and like. However, the standard of liking is very subjective. What I like today, I might not like tomorrow, so what should I do? According to the author, this is the necessary sorting and refinement of life. If you use this standard to tidy up, you will always need to update your likes. Once you have the awareness to periodically sort out what you like, you will increasingly understand what you need and have a strong and cautious awareness in buying things. For example, you will know what type of clothes you need for what occasions, instead of buying indiscriminately as you used to. That way, you won't have multiple sets of clothes with the same style and function, just because you saw them and impulsively bought them without knowing how much money you spent. When you choose items you use frequently and genuinely like, start categorizing and storing them neatly and cleanly. Finally, the most important thing is that the only thing that can truly determine whether or not to keep an item is a person's inner thoughts. When a person decides to face their true self in daily life, they will naturally know what to keep and what to let go of. The second is to Dan-Sha-Ri your money. This doesn't mean you should avoid money or stop earning money, but it means detaching from money worries. Many people still have the idea that not having money in their pocket is like not having many items in their house, making them feel insecure. To address that insecurity, they must try to earn as much money as possible. This mindset is no different from emphasizing in their subconscious mind that I can only be happy if I have enough money and consume enough. In reality, this kind of monetary insecurity is just created by the desires of the mind. This is why the ancient Indian yoga philosophy is very accurate in this case. That philosophy points out that only those who don't use their minds can be completely at peace in this existence. That means, your mind is not yourself. Therefore, you must find ways to detach from the anxieties and desires created by this mind. That's how you return to the present, return to the starting point, and find yourself. Regarding how to spend money, the author gives two ways. The first is to be grateful for the feeling behind buying something you desire. Most people often feel happy and satisfied. The truth is, we rarely feel grateful for the money we spend. If you spend money with an attitude of gratitude, you will have a rational spending habit. You will always reflect on yourself before spending money. What effect will this money have? What effect will it create? For example, when preparing for an important event, many people feel heartbroken and regretful about spending money on an expensive outfit, while they can buy a lot of cheap and low-quality items and fill their closet. But at this point, when understanding from a different perspective that you're not buying to show off but to show your appreciation for the event and make yourself feel more confident with a rational reason and a grateful heart for the money that has created its value, you will no longer feel stressed or anxious. The second way is also a way we often know, which is to spend according to your income. Simply put, it's about managing your monthly budget. If you need to buy something, but this month has already exceeded your budget, put it off until next month. Sometimes you'll find that if you can balance your budget and buy things after careful consideration, over time, you'll realize that they weren't actually that necessary. Finally, from the deep roots, you need to Dan-Sha-Ri your attachments. Yamashita believes that most things in life are connected to attachments. Like a saying, there are many kinds of troubles and obstacles. If you don't cling to your ego, there will be no troubles. Therefore, the ego is the root that easily makes everything troublesome. In the end, many people constantly buy and accumulate things, which is also constantly strengthening their ego and attachments. The book mentions other cases. Some people can't bear to throw away the stacks of comics in their house because of their childhood memories. Some people want to feel safe and fill their houses with feng shui items. Some people want to get rich and only collect many kinds of success books. Over time, those things accumulate and take over your mental space. Let go, don't try to insist on possessing or keeping. The author says, looking at the surface, we are discarding material things, but at the same time, we are discarding attachments from within, from the intangible world. If life is a river, attachments are the debris that block the flow. Always remember the rule, less is more. This reminder in your heart will help you firmly let go of things you don't need. What you don't need can be a relationship, a job, an ambition, a lifestyle, or items in your house. Behind them is always an attachment. Attachments like "how can I be on top" will create expectations of others. Attachments like "I need to be perfect" in the eyes of others will make you try to maintain unfulfilling relationships. Attachments like "I'm the most important person" will make you spend a lot of time on personal goals, taking away time and space from loved ones, ignoring moments of play and growing up with your children. Or attachments like "I have to enjoy fun now, I'll have plenty of time later" will make you constantly take in unnecessary information and meaningless entertainment like aimlessly scrolling through your phone. These are the attachments you need to cut off, discard, and detach from yourself. Your destiny naturally wants you to be simple. Someone who can live simply, without being surrounded by material excess. This simplicity is like a testament to their inner harmony. You will discover that everything in your life can be let go of, can be reduced. Nothing is absolutely crucial to you. At first, you'll feel it's tiring to let go, but once you start, you'll find it easier and easier. You can even effortlessly let go at any time. You won't want to hoard items anymore, or pile up in your heart hurtful emotions, negative thoughts, anxieties about uncertainty, or insecurity. The more you let go, the happier you'll feel. You won't wait for items to become unusable before throwing them away. You can transfer them to someone else when they're still good. Seeing the joy of receiving gifts from others, you will naturally be overjoyed. The more you let go, the more you discover that all material things, including the house you've lived in for so long, can be let go of. From there, you'll no longer depend on owning material things. As said in the book Abundance, you wouldn't believe that this kind of letting go not only affects the objective living environment, but it can also change your destiny, giving you a whole new perspective on abundance. In fact, being able to let go is the highest abundance. Your heart, initially wanting to achieve and filled with ambition, suddenly transforms into letting go, giving, and serving. This is the true fulfillment, satisfaction, abundance, and richness. Therefore, it's time to remove the mud, free your space, and your body and mind will be light and peaceful as you move forward. This is the core content from this book. Hopefully, it can inspire you to build a fresh and meaningful life. To conclude today's video, Book Sen would like to share a list of items to discard. Hopefully, It can help you as a reference to Dan-Sha-Ri of unnecessary things, making your house more spacious, your space cleaner, and your heart lighter. Beginning your Dan-Sha-Ri journey is also a sign of your willingness to improve and experience a new life. The list of items to Dan-Sha-Ri includes kitchen utensils, clothes, shoes, electronics, personal belongings. I will list them specifically on the screen. As the author says, Dan-Sha-Ri is a behavioral technique that uses tidying up to understand oneself, resolve one's inner chaos, and make life more comfortable. Start sorting yourself out today. I hope both you and I can regularly let go of excess things, take in things of value, prune dead leaves, and let our gardens of life be full of spring and fragrance. Thank you for listening. If you find this video helpful, please share it with those who need it. Give me a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to watch my newest videos every week. Once again, thank you, and I'll see you in the next video. Please feel free to ask if you have any other questions or requests. Happy learning!